I'll hear a point of order.
If I could just question the select board as to their obligation to fire and rescue in that article, what their plans are.
I'm afraid I'm unable to entertain the point of order. The article has been voted on, it's been voted down, and that is the article. We'll have to deal with it in the future somehow, as inconvenient as that really is.
May I make,
Alvina.
I would like to revisit that article. I believe we have the right to revisit that article one time.
The way we revisit an article is that somebody who voted on the side that did not prevail, that would be somebody in this case. Well, I'll do the explanation of it so people know. Somebody who voted on the side that did not prevail has to say, I doubt the vote, and then they have to get a second, and then we can bring it up again. Now, Alvina, I saw your hand up in favor. You were on the losing team. However, you can make that motion. And did I see a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to reconsider.
Democracy.
Vote to reconsider Article 4, which brings it up again. Alvina, you made the initial motion to reconsider. I'm going to ask you to explain yourself.
Okay, I feel that if the townspeople don't want cell phones, we should take that line item out and vote the budget accordingly for the rest of the article. That's my thought. That seemed to be the one that bothered people the most.
Okay, just to move this thing along, I would like to take a non-binding straw poll. If you followed Alvina's advice and took cell phones out, would you be willing to go with Article 4, all the rest of it? Those who would be willing to do that, please show your card. Those who would be opposed to taking the cell phones out and all that. Okay. We have a motion to reconsider. I'm not sure it's going to work, but the process has to be followed. Further comments? Further
Questions?
Hold on. I haven't asked for that yet. The thing with town meeting is there's one moderator. Tonight you're stuck with me. So let's keep it fairly ordered. So back to Article 4. Questions, comments, discussion. In the brown shirt, sir.
What happens, is there a default budget for this? If this fails again, does it go back to last year's appropriation?
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
I believe it does. That's my understanding, that you would go back to last year, so whatever.
That's what they said in the past.
Just check last year's, please, for a second.
The question is, if this article totally fails, does it revert to last year's budget? We're looking to see roughly where that is. Do you have that info, Alvina?
Yeah, last year's article was different, so we're not comparing apples to apples.
Okay, Alvina says last year's article was quite different. It ain't apples to apples. Further questions, comments on reconsideration of Article 4? Yes, in the white.
I would like to make a motion that we draw a line under the fixed expenses, total them, and vote for them separately from the non-fixed expenses. That's why in former reports, they have been separated. Fixed expenses are the contracts that the town has made with people. So we have made a commitment to the people of the fixed expenses, and we owe them that money. I'm not suggesting we renege on it. We can question it. We can try to alter it by reducing it for some things. But basically, when you sign a contract, you're responsible for paying it off. You sign a contract on your house mortgage. You pay your mortgage.
We don't have contracts.
There are another several,
Okay, but if I can, I begin at Article 4, in all the line items, I'm not seeing anything that says fixed expenses. We have to stay in, you use the vocabulary in the article so we're sure what we're talking about.
Vince? Yeah, if this goes back to last year, that means Freiburg Rescue will only get $43,000. Remember the budget committee, when Steve presented his budget to the budget committee for the Freiburg Rescue, he was very thorough and explained it very well, just as he did now. And it cannot, it wouldn't be fair to go back to 43,000 or even reasonable. They need the 60,000 plus for health insurance for the people on Freiburg Rescue. I mean, they're out there all the time, and it seems to be getting more active with all the people that come up and all the activities that go on. I think it's crazy to go back to 43,000. I think we should pass the budget as it is.
In the back row, I think it's a light blue blouse, right up by the window, yes. Yeah, please stand up.
Is it possible to parse out individually each of these items and vote on them, and if they fail, they go back to what was last year's amount? That would be.
No, this is a, you can reduce individual amounts, but we cannot vote individually on each one. It's not like the menu in the Chinese restaurant where you get to pick and choose that way.
Crab rangoon.
Gentlemen on the side, I've been having to do with my peripheral vision and this.
If you look at the way it's listed, if you go from Freiburg Rescue up, it matches last year's fixed administration expenses. So if we amend it and go from Freiburg up, you're only voting on the same thing as last year. If you look at Freiburg Rescue for 63,000 and go up, it's the same thing as last year's when it was split. No, what I'm saying is this half is the same. So if you go from Freiburg Rescue up, it's the same as last year. So you split it. So you amend the article to split it. So from Freiburg Rescue up is what you're voting on tonight. And then the rest you vote on afterwards, but you split the article.
The article comes as a package. Again, you can reduce individual lines, but not otherwise. Yes, we haven't heard from you today.
I just want to make 2 points. One is, in terms of the cell phones, I believe that if we expect our employees to use their own phones, and that subjects them to the right to know request, correct?
That's a
So
scary
now you have employees of the town of Brownfield who are not willing to use their personal cell phones and can't be forced to, which means limited access to them. So I would caution you to think twice before you get rid of the cell phones. That's the first thing. And the other thing is, we are the fastest aging, Carroll County is the fastest aging county in the nation, which means that Freiburg Ambulance.
Please let the speaker speak.
Freiburg Ambulance does mutual aid with Carroll County all around, right? So that means their availability is going to be limited and they need our support. So think twice.
Joe Egan, did I see your hand in the air? Vince.
Can the town give us?
No, I point to Vincent. He looks different from you.
Well, I was going to say, cell phone use again, but the Freedom of Access Act, with the state, if you're a member of a board, whatever you put on your personal email as part of the board you're on, that has access to whoever wishes to get it from the Freedom of Information Act. She was making the same point to do with your cell phone. If you use your personal cell phone to do any business for the town, anybody can ask for all the information on your cell phone or your email if you use your email. And that's the way it is with the Freedom of Access Act.
Yep. They don't like that.
Cindy?
Yeah.
Figured should have something to say about that.
This failed. And we need to come up with, what, 20-some odd thousand for fire rescue, can it be taken out of the general fund?
So have the public records from the animal control officer that'll be subpoenaed from her personal
We're getting a
phone.
reading on that, Mr. Selectman. Yes, no, maybe?
Cynthia Eaton.
If they vote it down, you can't go ahead and spend it. It has to be against the town. Voted it down, so you can't spend it.
Okay, the reading is, you voted it down a few minutes ago. Right now, we have no administrative expenses approved for upcoming, so.
But it was cut back, I got it, it was cut back from last year, so if they need more money, can we take it out of general fund if we come to present it to the board? It's after July.
Any money you spend, any money these folks spend, has to be approved right here. You people are these guys' bosses. True fact. Yes, sir, with the green hat.
Literally.
It's not about the cell phone. It's not about the ambulance service. This is a town that doesn't have a tax base to keep spending the money we spend it. A third of the homes in this town don't have a value any higher than the lots they sit on. That, taken into effect, unless the town wants to change their aspect on mobile homes. I lived in a town where if you wanted a mobile home, it had a full basement, a pitched roof, and vinyl siding. You've got to bring the tax base up in this town if you want to keep spending the money. You want a new fire department, firehouse? We don't have the money for it in this town. 1/3 of the taxes come from the top, 1/3 of this whole town. You can't just keep raising the taxes. That's what it's about. And to keep spending the money, you're going to have to first get the tax base up by getting some changes into what the code enforcement in the town does and bring the tax base up. You can't keep spending people out of their houses and keep raising their taxes. You get to a point where the older people will move out of the town who cost the town nothing. And then 2-parent families will start coming in and you'll start building schools. And if you think this is a hard budget to fight, wait till you start having to build schools. Look at the town of Lewiston. A $350,000 house, the tax bill next year is $11,000. That's where we're headed unless we get this in line now. You can't just keep raising the tax.
No, I'd be.
That's what
Can I ask why it was decided this year to move the fixed costs, or to combine the fixed costs and the non-fixed costs into one article and one chunk of money rather than keeping it broken out the way that it had been in years past?
I think that's a selectment question.
Simplicity of the article itself, I think, is the easiest way to put it. I mean,
Please let him finish the explanation.
Any further?
it went through the budget committee, and the budget committee didn't have any issues with it. I guess I don't understand,
Well, I think it sounds like people are concerned about these non-fixed cost expenses rather than the fixed cost expenses, because it's been proposed now twice to allow the fixed cost administrative expenses to be voted on separately, and it sounds like that could happen, well, it could go through, rather than these non-fixed costs. It's just, maybe next year we break it out the way that it used to be.
Alvina indicates that could happen. Any further discussion on the reconsideration of Article 4 before we take it to a vote? Yes, sir, with the brown hat. Oh, it's green.
The difficulty, I think, that we may be having with all these budget items is that the budget item requests are projected costs. You don't actually have a comparative analysis of actual expenditures during this year as to what they did cost.
Right.
For instance, you have legal fees for $35,000. I don't think anyone in this room knows what the actual cost of legal fees that justifies a $10,000 increase for next year. Same with tax map.
So it would have been helpful if we had an audit so that we know actually what money this town is spending out of the budget that's being passed.
We are,
There's a gentleman way back in the corner.
Do people understand that private rescue, if the contract is not signed or there's no money that changes hands, private rescue will not respond if there is a call? That's potential to happen. So I would want to see if it's a proper time to offer an amendment to this article that's been brought back on the floor. Would you accept an amendment this time?
Okay, all right, the clerks are asking for anything other than a very simple amendment to be submitted in writing. Can you tell us, can you give us a concise idea of what your amendment would be?
The bottom number would be 294,509, and it was simply derived from adding up last year's fixed and non-fixed expenses and then adding the $20,500 increase for fire and rescue on top of it, which would allow the Board of Selectmen to operate fixed and non-fixed as last year, with the increase in a contractual obligation to fire and rescue. So the only thing that would change would be the bottom number would be $294,509 total proposed grant raise.
Second.
Okay, let me see. Michelle, did you?
Eric, can you please bring that up to me in writing?
294,509.
That's on total proposed, is that right, Eric?
Correct.
Okay. And where does the difference come out of? To be clear?
Wherever the Board of Selectmen see fit to do it, but that will give, just as a backstory, that will give enough money in that article to pay the contractual obligations with the increase in fire and rescue, and it would, all the non-fixed would revert back to whatever was last year.
I believe you need to give a specific line to take it out of, rather than throw it into the selectmen's hands. Again, you folks here are the people who decide how much money gets spent. The selectmen, the town fathers and mothers basically do your bidding and make suggestions based on their knowledge, but we need to know where the difference is coming out of. Yes, in the front here.
I think what he's saying specifically is that to revert back to last year's expenses and only change the line that is Freiburg Rescue to allow for the continuation of those very important services without interruption, which seems like a relatively simple amendment.
May I speak to that note? Mr. Moderator?
Okay, Alvina.
My only concern, I don't mind.
If we could have the back and forth chatter stop, it'll make things go faster. Alvina, please continue.
My concern with that suggestion.
turn the mic on.
The light is on.
You have to work the mic pretty close, Alvina.
My worry about that motion is the legal. We are really getting hit hard with legal, and I think you're gonna be surprised at next year's figure as it is. So you're taking 10,000 off the legal, and you're just gonna hurt yourselves. Lawsuits are not cheap, and we've seen plenty of them already.
Yes.
Another area that I just looked up was the computer licensing and the computer maintenance, and I know that municipalities are getting hit very, very hard with cybersecurity issues, so that's a little bit of a concern that I have, not knowing what the licensing fees are, but I can tell you that it's a big issue.
Okay, so far, just to get us back on track, so far, we have the reconsideration of Article 4 as presented. Again, if we have an amendment to reduce the bottom line, we have to know where the difference is coming out of. Ricky,
Yeah,
please stand up.
just a question, aren't we a bottom line budget, not line item? So it doesn't matter, the end number is what counts. So the amendment is that it doesn't matter if it doesn't have to be specific for Freiburg Rescue, it's bottom line budget. So the 294,509, the select board doesn't divvy that up per line item. It is what it is. So we don't, we're not.
What I'm getting at is all the numbers on that right-hand column have to add up to whatever is in bold print down at the bottom.
Well, if it's reduced to the 294,509,
Yeah.
They gotta adjust
either way, our contractual requirements come out of that first. So it's regardless, the rest of it is what it is.
The green glove. Yes. No. Next to Ricky. You had your hand up, right? No. You didn't?
Behind me.
She did, okay. It looked like your hand.
So what we're getting at is we can review this article only as it's written. No matter how we want to separate this as non-fixed and fixed expenses as it should be so that we can get our contracts paid, we can't do that. We can't amend this article to do that?
You can amend an article, and this is a closed article, so you cannot increase it, but you can reduce the article. But if you take money off the bottom line, you need to say where it's going to come out of. For instance, if you want to reduce the bottom line by $10,000 and you don't want street lights, you nuke the street lights. But other than that, you have to tell where it's being taken out of. Otherwise, we're in a pickle.
But that wouldn't be an easy amendment like you're looking for, and I don't have a piece of paper to write it. And I don't think we could get all these people in this room to agree on each line item and how much you want to amend it to. The easiest thing to do is to separate the articles, and I think that's what the majority of the group wants to do, is to separate the articles into non-fixed and fixed, vote on them, and go forward to Article 5.
The article has to be voted on essentially as presented in the warrant. That's how 38 MRSA 2523 operates. Basically, you have to have a specific warrant article that clearly defines what you're talking about. It would be my ruling that if we broke it in half, we would be violating state law 2523. I'm going to ask the selectmen, gentlemen, what would you like to do with this? Do you offer something wise?
What it is these list of things are an explanation of the bottom number. It is not, you are not voting on each individual. It is an explanation of what they came up with. So you're really voting on the bottom number. So I think if they want to do that after, they can.
294, 509, I think is right.
Okay, Eric, you started to have a proposed amendment. You wanted to go to 294 what?
Bottom line, total proposed, 294, 509.
Second. 509. Okay, let's move things along. It's been moved and seconded to amend Article 4, bottom line of $294,509. Is there any discussion? Please no.
Just a quick,
Yes.
could we add into that amendment?
No, the amendment has been moved and seconded. We have to deal with it as, no, that's out of order. Okay, we have an amendment, again, to change bottom line to 294,509. Discussion on that specific amendment. Yes.
will that necessarily include a commitment to Freiburg Rescue for what's there? That's part of the contract, right? Thank you.
Okay, the selectmen are gonna have the tough job of finding out where to make up the difference.
So to be clear, we're voting on
Just a second, again, people need to stop the chatter. It's difficult to hear people such as our friend in the blue.
So we're voting on the bottom line. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. We're voting on the bottom line. The selectmen have the authority to change the amounts to reflect what the body wants, correct?
Yes.
Okay, my other question is, can general assistance go over budget legally?
It can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, further discussion on the amendment to reduce the bottom line to 294,509. Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment, no, we're not voting on the whole article, of the amendment to reduce the bottom line to 294,509. Those opposed? The amendment carries. Let's see if we can get a vote on Article 4 now. All those in favor of Article 4 as amended, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $294,509 for administrative expenses. All those in favor? Those opposed? The article is accepted. It's like, sometimes it gets like going to the dentist. But that's okay. That's what town meeting is for. That's why you're missing Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy right now. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $51,000 for the overall operation of the fire department. May I have a motion? Moved and seconded, $51,000 for the fire department. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 5 as read. Those opposed? Article 5 is accepted. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $57,616 to transfer to the fire department capital improvement account to make financing payments for the new fire engine. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Yes.
Is this fire engine in use right now?
Is this truck in use right now?
Yes, it is.
Down on this side, yes.
How many payments do we have left?
Say again?
How many payments do we have left?
How many payments do we have left while we own it?
This should be the last one.
This is the last one.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Further questions and comments on Article 6? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 6 as read? Those opposed? The article passes. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate up to